Hey, want to meditate your way to greater prosperity? 3 new meditations to call it into your life are available now, created by me with a bundle of 3 for 2 pricing at hightimelinebooks.com. Welcome to the 7th of October. Thomas Miller on the Fun Astrology Podcast on a month that is flying by. Goodness sakes, have mercy. I'm on the road this week, but recording from the studio at least to get the week started, and I wanted to do an overview of the month a little bit. We didn't talk about that. No exact aspects in the sky today, so we have a little bit of breathing room. Have a listener question about void of course moon timing, so we'll address that. And I wanted to tell you about yesterday's special. If you didn't catch it, we did a special episode yesterday with our Liz Grace Christie, wonderful astrologer out of Portland, who comes by every now and then with always some wonderful information, and folks love listening to Liz Grace. She talks about the Jupiter retrograde, which of course is this week, and extends it on into galactic astrology, asteroids, it's just really cool. So I'd encourage you, if you didn't catch that when you have about 15, 18 minutes, put that on and give Liz Grace your ear. It will be time well spent. The other thing we're continuing to develop are these meditations, and I've got a sleep one that I'm going to be working on. It's going to take me a couple of days to do, but if you have a hard time falling asleep, that will be coming. But they are available at hightimelinebooks.com, right up at the top. 3 meditations to take you into a reality creation state. And then map readings are available if you'd like to pick that up. Now, what about October? I mean, we've been looking at all this, and a lot of astrologers are talking, and I know a lot of other people. I don't listen to other astrologers. I don't. Why? Because I want to formulate my own thoughts. I'll tell you the one thing about October. Kristin and I picked up on this as we recorded the Lucky Stars for this month, which, of course, came out the last week of September. We noticed that October had some very interesting symmetry with the aspects. We had such a long stretch at the beginning of the year where everything was bundled up. There were no aspects. I mean, if you had an opposition to something, you were lucky. Well, when that broke, finally everything started moving around, and now it looks like sacred geometry when you look at the chart, especially at the end of the month, around the 28th. Wow. So I think the sky is giving us just a little wink in that direction of, hey, whatever may happen in this period down here in Earth School, the universe knows. The universe is fully aware, and it is by tapestry and design. Not that that's something we need to be reminded of, but it is. You know what I mean? It is. It's just good to know. Hey, got your back. And listen, I've been keeping in touch with my friends in North Carolina, and it is just absolutely amazing, disastrously, what is happening there. This is so close and personal to me because so many of the images that are on the screens, I know, I've been to those places. That was, and emotionally still is, my home. But after this, I don't know that any of us will ever experience it the way we did before, and especially the people who live there, who are relying on the infrastructure that doesn't exist for daily supplies. So keep that in mind, because this did happen right there at the segue between September and October. And for those of you who have been tracking and watching and observing the moon wobble, this happened 2 days before the moon wobble peaked. If 9/11 and the Oklahoma City bombing and the coal and so many other things on the list of events that happened during moon wobbles didn't make a believer out of you or me, this did for me. Not thank God that this happens every time. It doesn't. But boy, this did right on the money. Now that influence is gone. We are out of the orb as of yesterday. So for October, we have this tapestry of energy, and we have some aspects. We have trines and sextiles, and we have squares and oppositions. Some of the ones of note. Tomorrow, Mercury trines Jupiter right before Jupiter goes retrograde. So Jupiter is very strong right now. And here's another Jupiter trine. It's with the Sun on the 13th. The 13th and 14th, we have a lot of activity those 2 days. So Sunday and Monday. Then on Monday, the 14th, the Sun squares Mars. We'll be feeling that all week, both of those. Another very busy day is the 22nd, and on that day, the Sun squares Pluto. Pluto, by the way, stations direct on the 11th. That's good, as it starts to move forward, back out of Capricorn, into or toward that 0 degrees of Aquarius position that it has spent most of the last year on. That will definitely change some things. As mentioned before, the Jupiter retrograde is Wednesday. Liz Grace covered that brilliantly yesterday. Another key event of note is the full moon on the 17th. One sign change you might like is Venus ingresses into Sagittarius on the 17th, and of course the moon enters my sign, Scorpio, on the 22nd. Oh, God love us Scorpios, whether you have a moon, a sun, or a rising. God bless us all. All right, the moon entered Sagittarius last night at 7:35 Eastern Time, and we had a question from a guy who was trying to reconcile times of voids of course. Good question, and I'm going to point you to a resource that I would use. Personally, I use the Honeycomb Collective Almanac for everything around the podcast and tracking these things. It just has everything in one place for notes. It's beautiful, wonderful. I order a new one every year. Actually, time to get next year's book underway. But the astro-seek.com Void of Course calendar is basically the same. Do a Google search, it'll come up. Change the time zone in the upper left to yours would be best, and then you have the times, and it syncs up with the Honeycomb Collective within a minute or two. I would use that as a benchmark over some of the other programs. He mentioned Time Nomad. He was having some time discrepancies. Astro-Seek, that's a good database. I would totally rely on it. But we have a beautiful Sagittarius moon all day today and tomorrow. And we have 3 big aspects that all happen before noon tomorrow. Mercury is again at the center stage. So if you remember what we talked about last week about Mercury being in the driver's seat, well, it doesn't give up easily. So more Mercury energy tomorrow. So remember, transportation, driving, traveling, as I will be, etc., and communication. Actually, they're pretty good aspects, all in all. Have a good one. We'll be back and report on all of it tomorrow. Bye-bye.